Either somebody's upstairs and I don't know it, it's a ghost, or it's the cats and they're very loud, which is a good possibility of either. Thank you for joining me today. Welcome back to the channel, and thank you for subscribing and entering the contest. There's a watercolor contest going on right now. It ends on the 10th at 1 p.m. CST. Please check my last video on how you can enter. And so let's get to today's video. So it's a neon colored pencil tutorial sort of walkthrough type of thing. I'll be doing a portrait of Marina Mars. Now, she's a circus performer, a pole dancer, and a burlesque dancer. So she's extremely talented. Please check her Instagram out. I'll put the link below so that you can see her videos. And so today I'll be kind of walking through how I did her hair. It's not finished, of course. You'll see it whenever it's finished. However, you'll see how I chose the colors for the midtones, the bright, and the highlights and whatnot. See, the thing with neon colors is that the game is a little bit different. The rules have to be bent just a little bit whenever it comes to choosing colors and shades. So I'll be kind of showing you exactly what pencils I'll be using, and I will be putting tips right about here, and I'll be putting every colored pencil that I use in this tutorial right below as I use them. So hopefully that will be very, very helpful to you. So I will see you at the end of the video. Please enjoy, and let's get started.
Okay everyone, I'm going to be giving you a lowdown of some of the colors that I'm going to be using in this tutorial today. And it's kind of this condensed walkthrough, as I like to call it. The brighter colors and the highlights are among these. We have Leaf Green by Holbein, Grass Green by Prismacolor, Cadmium Yellow Lemon by Polychromos, Apple Green by Holbein. Some of the brightest ones, we have Luminous Lemon by Holbein Artist Color Pencil, and we have Neon Yellow by Prismacolor Premier. And that is the brightest one. That's the ones that you'll be seeing through here. So the midtones, you're gonna see me using Leaf Green by Polychromos. We have Spruce Green by Caran D'Ache Pablo. We have Holly Green by Holbein, lots of Holbein in this one. And for the kind of mid to darker shades, not quite the darkest shades, we have Derwent Prismacolor Prussian Blue, Caran D'Ache Pablo Olive Black, that's a unique one. And we have Caran D'Ache Pablo Dark Green. For the darkest shades that you'll see me using throughout here and up in her roots, we're going to be using, this is one of my favorite colors of all time, Polychromos Dark Indigo, Fur Green by Holbein, and finally we have the Derwent Color Soft in Indigo. So there you have it. Those will be the colors that I'll be using in this little walkthrough, although there are a lot of other colors that I'm using throughout this whole portrait. So if you didn't catch all that, do not worry, because for each time that I use any of these pencils, you'll see a subtitle, and I will be putting them into the description box below. So never fear, I am taking care of you. So since this part kind of comes to meet these strands right here, I'm going to brighten up this area with the Prismacolor Neon Yellow. Just lightly go over it. I'll take a few of them over here. I'm going to go down here and do this sort of color mapping technique that I do, and I'm going to put that neon yellow right there where the highlight is. And come back to it later probably. And where you want it to be brighter, of course you use much more pressure. Okay, let's go back up here. Go back up in here. I'm gonna go in and start deepening some of these areas. Go in with Derwent's Prismacolor in Grass Green and fill in this area a little bit more layer. Get it looking more like hair in the background. And then I'll start deepening that darker area. When it comes to rendering colored pencil portraits or just anything in colored pencil, really I find, and this could be with any medium probably, you can probably this, but it's to be able to see the unseen and to know when to improvise. Such as, you know, I can't see every little strand and necessarily get everything perfect in here, but I can improvise and see what's going on without actually having to see it, if that makes any sense. Especially with shadows, that tends to happen with art. You kind of have to just work with it and use your imagination. Let's grab the blues. Let's get the blues. Not those kind of blues, but these kind of blues. Okay. So instead of diving right in with an indigo, I'm going to go in with Prussian blue and fill in some of these areas over here. Because like if you look, this particular area right here, that's not really necessarily indigo, that's more of a Prussian blue, cobalt blue. So as compared to this area right here. And we can use a little bit more of a random pattern here since it's, you know, hair being blown about. Beautiful hair. It's so, you know, YouTube really, YouTube surprises me because, you know, if you're, especially if you're a beginner and you're like, okay, how do I draw hair? I mean, there's such a huge, vast amount of videos to watch, but really hair is such a complex, broad spectrum because everybody's hair is different and there's sort of a generalization of hair, you know, and I try to break down a little bit because what I'd really like to do is, you know, is explain how to draw curly hair, how to draw, you know, different ethnicity of hair, like, you know, African-American hair versus, you know, Caucasian hair or just fine, thin, straight hair or whatever, or wavy hair, you know, it's just, it's all, it depends on the texture and the appearance. It has a lot to do with that. So I feel for people who are beginning and wanting to explore how to look for videos on how to draw hair because there's like this huge chamber and vault of videos. Because this is so, you know, not uniform, we can kind of mess around a little bit. Don't have to follow suit, we just got to make it look somewhat like the drawing, you know, doesn't have to be perfect. I think another key is to not get too lost in the details, and this is something that I say from experience because I do tend to get lost in the details, and if I fixate on one particular area, I will get obsessed with it, and that's not really particularly good, especially if it's not working out for you. Then that's time to walk away. If it is working out for you, great, just go with it, go with the flow. But getting fixated on something and try to make it look perfect, you know, make it look exactly like the picture, well, you know what, you know, work with what you got and know when to stop. I speak from experience on that one because I think as the older I get, the more I'm in tune with that versus whenever I was younger, it was like, no, I gotta work on this a little bit more, and then 3 hours later I'm still working on it. So I feel like in portraits, as long as you are able to capture the face, the hair, you know, you can kind of have a little bit more wiggle room with it. Okay, I'm gonna work on this area over here in the shadows to kind of repeat what I did before. This is kind of light pressure. Okay, so these are some deep, deep greens. I have to find a color match. Right there in the deep, deep depths of the shadows. Yeah. What did I just say? Not to get fixated on a specific area, but we're going to get fixated on this. I mean, I could just, you know, cop out and just make this all black and then fill it in like that, but I don't know, it's just something about working on, you know, fine little details sometimes that just, as long as you don't get too obsessed with it, it really makes a difference. I know I sound like I'm contradicting myself, but really it's about a balance. It's finding a balance with your colored pencil portraits. What do you guys think of the term colored pencil paintings? Because it seems like it's kind of an oxymoron, don't you think? I mean, you know, they end up looking like paintings sometimes if you're going for realism, and I understand that's probably what they're going for, but it's not really, you don't really paint with pencils, do you? Okay. You know what? I think I might try Dark Green by Pablo by Caran D'Ache. Is it Caran D'Ache or Caran D'Ache? Tomato, tomato, I don't know. It'll work anyways. Add in this, I think this is the Luminous Lemon from Holbein. So it looks like it's just kind of how this is, where it's sort of coming out of the shadows. This is Leaf Green by Polychromos. Just putting that back in there. And here's the garbage man. You guys get a lot of sounds today, lots of sound effects. Sounds effects, good Lord. Sound effects. I've had coffee and tea, I'm working on my tea. Anyone else watching drink tea? I like Earl Grey. For whatever reason, I really like hot tea while I'm drawing at my table here. Oh, he's right outside. He's taking the dump out. Oh, Lord. Somebody stop me. I'm gonna go back in here. Let's see. Just hoping you can see. Down in here for this area, just real quick. Again, this is Leaf Green by Polychromos. Just kind of lightly use it along here. In these areas where it's not quite bright, but not quite in the shadow either. I'm going to use light strokes to emphasize the individual strands. There we go. That's much better, doesn't it? Don't you think? So that curl right there, that wave is not exactly like the picture. That's okay. A wise man once told me, whose art I adore, he was kind of a mentor. He told me, if you get the eyes correct, everything else just sort of falls into place after that, because the eyes really do frame the face. Okay, and he's right. Look go back up here. Finish off this area, darken it in, and just let it be. I'm going to use deeper pressure. Hard pressure, harder pressure, medium to hard. And flicks, nice little flicks. And now I'm just going to use it lightly over some of these strands over here to kind of push them back in the background a little bit more. And maybe even tie it in with this holly green here. There we go. It's almost kind of like a way of glazing with colored pencils, if that makes any sense. So it gives the hint that the hair is there, but it's not entirely shrouded in shadow. Let's go back in with the indigo. Indigo. I may have to take a trip to Blick and get some refills on my Polychromos very soon. Okay, let's try this and just really lightly go over it without muddying it up. Yes, just really just lightly graze over some of these. Use my olive black. It's a little bit darker. And just really sparingly emphasize those areas. Different directional strokes so that it's not all uniform. May add in a little bit of apple green over this area. I'm not really caring for how that turned out. It needs to be a little bit greener. Or perhaps maybe spring green. Go back over that, kind of emphasize those areas where the neon needs to be put in and really brought out. Go, just put a little bit of Prussian blue for the hint of the background. Since this is kind of non-uniform, all kind of clustered, nothing really holding a pattern there, I'm gonna keep it loose. Let's see, what do we got here? I can use this. This is the leaf green from Holbein. I apologize. What I was doing was I was taking this leaf green and kind of just going in this area and emphasizing this area with some of these background shades of green. Keeping it loose just for now. We're almost done with this side of the hair. I think the most rewarding part of a portrait is whenever it really, you can see the potential for it just starts to come together and fall into place, and it really starts to look three-dimensional. I'm gonna use this grass green from Derwent. Use a little bit more pressure this time. Following the strokes here, trying to. I'm gonna use the shade up in this area too for some of the darker areas in that strand. So you might be able to use some cadmium yellow lemon from Polychromos. Like in a strand like this, you got to be able to pick out those colors so that it comes together to this highlight, and that really adds that sheen that hair has. With chemically treated hair, it's a little, you know, the brightly colored hair is a little bit harder to, I don't want to say it's harder, it's just more of a challenge to really match those colors and give that appearance. Because a lot of the times the colors don't always come through in pictures, but thankfully this one does. And when I say that, I mean the transitioning shades. Like sometimes it'll be harder for you to pick out the shade that matches and the color of the brightly colored hair, because basically that color is kind of flat once it gets on the hair. A lot of the times those brands don't really create a luminous photo. They might be luminous in person. They've gotten better over the years. It's not like straight Manic Panic anymore. Yeah, they're almost kind of a matte finish to the hair. So the highlights and lowlights become a little bit more diluted in a photo. The transference from real life to photo sometimes just doesn't really make for really good color matching versus naturally colored hair.
Okay, that's all I have for today. I hope that you found this informative and entertaining and kind of relaxing, actually. So for more colored pencil tutorials and more artistic things going on, please hit the thumbs up button if you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and all that jazz. So I will see you next time, and keep creating, artists. And remember to subscribe. Please come back and let me know what you think of it. Jesus. Subscribe button and turn those notifications on so that you can get every notification for whenever I upload a new video to serve you.